Welcome to our Hive studios. Whether it's physical or online retail, businesses do need to send merchandise to their customers on a regular basis, dealing not only with sales but with returns as well. All these operations require packaging that may affect their performance in terms of sustainability. Today in the studio we have Josh Pittman, Managing Director of Priory Direct, a leading UK supplier of sustainable packaging. Let's welcome him to the studio. Good morning, Josh, and thank you so much for being at our Hive studios this morning.
A pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about the mission you set up for the business?
Yeah, absolutely. So Priory Direct is a sustainable packaging retailer based in the UK. We supply around 21,000 businesses. And I've been managing director there now for around 8 years. And in the lead up to that, really, I was looking to create a compelling purpose. I just finished reading Simon Sinek's Start With Why, and I'd also read Yvon Chouinard's Let My People Go Surfing. I hadn't expected myself to be in the packaging industry, but I was really enjoying it and engaged. But I just felt like we needed a real reason to exist, a purpose, a why. And we always differentiated around outstanding service. So we were the best reviewed in Trustpilot in the UK, and we were a customer lifetime value oriented business. You know, retention and service was so key for us. But it wasn't really a compelling reason to exist. It didn't sort of tick my boxes as to how I thought we could create a compelling future for the business, drive growth, and maybe use the business for good. So it was those two books really that ignited me along that journey. And eventually we identified that packaging is a cause of a huge amount of waste. It's also a cause of a huge amount of product damage protection, reduction of waste. It has a potential to be a really good force for good or a really bad force in the environment and for sustainability. So we made our mission to focus on making e-commerce a truly sustainable industry by minimizing the impact of supply chain of e-commerce on the environment.
And do you have any staff training for people who come to the company for the first time?
Absolutely. So everyone who joins us will be taken through a game called Sea Roads, which is a really cool simulation of the carbon footprint trajectory that we're on and the climate change that would cause. And it really illustrates the size of the problem and just quite how much momentum there is there. We also take them through the Ellen MacArthur Foundation statistics on plastic recovery and recycling in Europe, which, by the way, are not very good. And they get experience in every department of our business so that they get to understand how we make sustainable packaging choices in our operation, what sustainable packaging choices we offer to our stock customers with our Priory Elements range, but also how we advise our large customers with carbon audits to minimize their supply chain impact. So there's an awful lot of exposure to that topic.
And do you notice a higher demand over the last few years?
Yeah, so I have to say 8 years ago when we started focusing on sustainability, it was a lot more difficult. We spent a lot more time on the awareness piece. You know, we had to educate our customers as to why this was an important issue, what opportunity they should be focusing on to reduce their impact, and then perhaps explain to them that it could also be commercially viable because it's more efficient, because we believe consumer demand's going that way. Nowadays, and especially in the last 3 years, we have spent a lot less time having to explain that. You know, most people are now coming to us going, look, we really want to be sustainable. How do we do it? And it's really good that we've been doing it for quite such a long time because we're really well prepared for those questions.
And in terms of, I know you have a lot of partnerships with charities.
Yeah.
What do you think about corporate responsibility?
So
corporate social responsibility.
Yeah, so CSR, I think it's awesome. And I think it's so interesting that a lot of people who are CSR aligned or environmentally conscious, sustainability focused, look at industry as this dark satanic mill. You know, it's a bad force, industry is terrible, money makes the world go around. But if you accept that truth, because it has so much momentum, capitalism is a model that, you know, we're all playing the game in, it's how businesses exist and perpetuate. If you take that model and use it as a lever for good, that's what CSR represents for me. And there's a book called Raising the Bar, which is by the founder of Cliff Bar. And he talked about his journey about selling his business and then buying it back out and how he had a vision that his business would be a force for good in the world. And he realized that as an individual, he could only have so much impact, but through a business, he could multiply his impact. So I think CSR is amazing, and in our charity program, in the first 12 months of launching it, we protected 6 million square meters of rainforest through the Rainforest Trust. We gave £35,000 to our charity partners, and we supported 1% for the Planet heavily. Those are just awesome things. They're not just positive things for the company to be achieving and doing, but they're motivational, they're driving. They are a natural side effect of growing the business. We've baked that CSR approach and that good impact into our business, and that just makes everything so much more enjoyable, motivational, and easier to be successful with.
And how do you choose the charities you have partnerships with?
So we chose local, so that's our Heart of Kent Hospice. We chose health, so that's cancer research. We chose humanitarian, which is Save the Children. And we chose a climate-based charity, which is 1% for the Planet. And 1% for the Planet is actually a charity aggregator. So what they do is they provide access to a large number of environmentally and socially and sustainability-oriented charities, and they distribute funds. It's just a great cause, and it was set up by Yvonne Chenard, who I happen to really admire anyway. So that's why we chose them. So we wanted to have those pillars covered, and also to have a local impact, because our social responsibility, we do a lot of local community work. So we speak at the university, we support the employment festivals they run and speak with their business schools, do apprenticeships and knowledge transfer partnerships, which is something that I recommend a lot of businesses look into, because it's a great way to support your local education facilities, but also it's a low cost way to access PhD level expertise and information for your business. So, if you don't know about those, check them out.
Thank you so much, Josh, for being with us this morning. And thank you for joining us.